So good afternoon. Justin standing in for Lorna. Lots on the way for you, including our life coach. He's going to be live in the studio. It's Mark Shields.
Justin Dealey.
On the BBC in Beds, Herts and Bucks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So today we're talking about social anxiety.
We are.
We mentioned it briefly. So what exactly does that mean? Talk us through it in layman's terms.
In layman's terms, social anxiety disorder is a fear of going into social situations with people and interacting with them successfully. And the main two drivers, the main two emotions are lack of confidence, perhaps a lack of self-esteem, and they really struggle with it. People really struggle with it.
Now, could that mean something like going for a job interview? Because at the moment, times are very, very tough. And when you walk into that room, you've got to be the winner because a number of people going for that job. Does that fall into play then? If you're lacking in confidence, would you call that social anxiety if you're looking at a potential boss and you just lost your confidence?
That's a really interesting question because anxiety has a number of different guises. You've got generalised anxiety disorders, you've got stress-related anxiety disorders, and you have social anxiety disorders. And one of the other sides of social anxiety, believe it or not, is called performance social anxiety, which is exactly what you've just said. So going into an interview situation, a public speaking engagement, dealing with a boss is a problem.
And often people talk about football players saying they've just lost their confidence. That, I suppose, would be the classic example.
Yeah, that's right. They're out of their comfort zone. They play well for 2 years. All of a sudden, they're not scoring any goals. So.
In front of 40,000 people as well, not doing very, very well. So how many people suffer with this then?
Well, I mean, research suggests that 20% of people at any one time will be suffering. In work I've done previously, that number is greater than that. So there's a lot of people out there, and they tend not to come forward with their problem because they feel they're alone with it. They feel silly. They feel it might be the fact they're shy. And a good way of telling often is if you may think of in your own family, the amount of times you invite someone for dinner or you invite someone out, they never come. And if I was a betting man, I'd say there was some social anxiety going on there.
So if you think your friends and family are being rude, there's actually a deeper cause.
Absolutely. Yeah, very often, yeah.
So let's talk about some of the main signs and symptoms, because we may have people listening right now, and this is ringing a bell with them, if not them, other people in their family as well. Talk us through those.
Well, there's a number of ways of looking at that. Quite often people that suffer with social anxiety are okay if they're calling the shots. So if, for example, they bump into people in the town, they can go in and have a coffee. Yeah, or they bump into people in the pub, they can go in and have a beer. But when they're arranging something, it's pre-arranged, they've got to be there at a certain time, that can cause a problem. And that can cause a little bit of giddiness, sweaty hands, racing heart, a general feeling of fear, being uncomfortable. And that is actually driven by stress hormones in the body. So those thoughts are creating something we call the cognitive behavioural thinking cycle. Those thoughts are creating these stress hormones to enter the body and make people very alert and feel quite anxious.
One of the main symptoms, I'm told, is sleep obsession. Tell us more about sleep obsession.
Sleep obsession. When people have social anxiety especially, they always feel they are obsessed with the amount of sleep they get. And it's so common, and they often they get a full night's sleep, they're going out on the Saturday night, they're very nervous about it, so they'll go to bed in the afternoon, again, just to give themselves every chance to be on top form when they go into the pub. It's very, very common.
It's incredible stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a fascinating
it's all
subject.
in the mind. It's very,
So let's talk about some of the main causes of this. We're talking about social anxiety this afternoon with Mark Shields. He's our life coach and he's live in the studio. Just talk us through some of the main causes.
Well, I think some of the main causes with this are coming out of people's comfort zones. I think that's got to be one of the main ones. A lack of confidence and self-esteem, something that they haven't done for a while. They don't go out as often as they used to. They're not in contact with their friends and family perhaps as much as they used to. So the mind works overtime, and the role of adrenaline kind of kicks in. So people start to worry. They start to think about it. What am I going to wear? Am I going to be okay? I haven't been in that situation for years. And that worry kicks down into how it creates bad feelings. So our thoughts trigger how we feel. So then we get the typical stress hormones kicking in, which make people very uncomfortable. That's the easiest way to describe it. So that cognitive thinking cycle, one way of dealing with this whole problem is to actually reframe your thinking. So rather than thinking, I haven't been out for ages. What are people going to think? How am I going to look? Am I going to blush? That's another big problem. Just think to yourself, well, instead of that, let's just focus on how I'm going to feel at the end of the evening. What I've achieved, and how much better I feel, and that's the way to start to tackle it, actually.
It's interesting you say around 1 in 5 people suffer with this, and the word which keeps on coming up time and time again, Mark, is stress, and that, of course, is a big player in society today. Apart from booking yourself a nice holiday to the Caribbean, which is not going to happen for most people, what's your top tip? Your top tip on getting over stress? Because we know it's a major problem. We know it's out there. It's one of those subjects that not a lot of people like talking about. So how can they get over stress?
I think the first thing to do is to try and understand where the stress is coming from. The more knowledge you have, the more power you have over the problem. The minute you know where the stress is coming from, you can then, with someone like me or on your own or with family, develop a strategy to overcome it. So top tips really are to get things in perspective. Often people that are suffering with stress are so overwhelmed they don't know what day it is. So to kind of regroup, set some meaningful goals, get yourself organised, get back in control of the problem, which will in turn start getting rid of some of those stress hormones. And there are a number of other things that naturally get rid of the stress hormones. Exercise is absolutely brilliant. So on every program I run with stress, we have 5 cardiovascular exercise sessions every week with a personal trainer, because the body produces its natural opiates. It gets rid of all endorphins, which kicks...
Do you know what? It's so true. I've not been to the gym for about 4 weeks now. I've been very, very poorly recently. Get the violins out, I know, but I've not been very well, and I do miss going to the gym, because if I don't go to the gym, something happens. I become very, very tired. I know that sounds strange, because some people would say, when you go to the gym, surely you should feel tired then, but actually when I go to the gym, I feel a lot better about myself. I really, really do.
Well, that's because your body is creating the natural opiates in terms of endorphins, getting rid of any stress in the body, making you feel much better in yourself, which the more you do something like that, the better you feel, the more you'll do of it, won't you?
Okay, I just want to chuck something at you, because you were saying that stress, the important thing is to find out the root cause of the stress. So let's just say I'm working in an office that I absolutely hate. Right. I hate my job, I hate the people around me. It's 9 to 5, but I've got to keep that job because I've got a family to support.
Okay.
I know what the root cause is, but I can't leave my job. What do you do then?
The first thing you have to seriously look at is if you're how bad is your stress situation?
Very bad.
Okay, if it's very bad, if you go too far without any help, you're not going to be any good to anybody anyway, okay, because you'll go into what we call stage 3 of stress, which often leads to people being off work. Okay, so you have to take action. Okay, so you have to, as a life coach, I would look at the 3 or 4 key areas of your life, what you're looking to achieve, where you're going wrong, what's causing the stress, look at the triggers of the stress, and then put a program together that would involve what you eat, how much exercise you do, and even how you strengthen your mind in terms of the way you think.
Now then, there are 3 main levels of stress, 1, 2 and 3. Talk us through those.
Well, level 1 tends to be the beginning, okay? So, and it often comes up through fear and panic episodes. People start to feel jittery, don't understand why, lack a bit of energy, not quite so happy, appetite's affected, and that tends to be quite short term, so probably up to about 3 months. If they do nothing about it at that point and just carry on, as many people do, they go into level 2 of stress. Now, level 2 of stress is existence, and people are in that for up to a couple of years. So typical behaviour in level 2 of stress is insomnia, trouble sleeping, weight gain, weight loss, very emotional, cry at the slightest thing. Their film comes on, they cry at the television, and things really start to get on top of them. It's existing. People can drink at night to help them sleep, to help relax, and they get by day by day. They get by day by day, and a lot of people are in that level as we speak. There's a lot of people like that. Of course, in level 2, our adrenal glands are working overtime. All of the body's stress responses are working overtime, and eventually they'll wear out. They'll become depleted, and that's known as adrenal fatigue. Now, when that happens, okay, because we need certain things to get out of bed in the morning, when that happens, we are in level 3 of stress and often have no energy at all and can't get out of bed and can't do certain normal functioning things we would do every day. And that's normally when you would most definitely be seeing a GP and most definitely be taking medical advice. But those are the three areas of stress. And if it's handled correctly, we can keep most people out of that level 3.
On the text, this one comes in here. It says, hi, I think I suffer from stress. There is many factors associated with this. Finance, work location, partner and unplanned children. In recent weeks, I've snapped at my partner and at my boss. I've shouted and I've hit the walls. It sounds absolutely idiotic, but at the same time, it feels appropriate. I'm often very, very tense, especially around my neck, which causes headaches. I'm often tired, dizzy and easily annoyed, sometimes by very, very silly things. I feel a bit stupid by texting in today, and I do wish to remain anonymous. OK, so lots of things going on there in that particular text. What's your advice? Because it clearly sounds like a stress situation, hitting the walls and shouting at people. What can that person do to get through that?
Well, that person's definitely in level 2 of stress. OK, so the problem needs to be addressed. So if I was her, I'd break down the problems as she sees them. And I would possibly even start looking at stress programs to work and get some help with that, because that could escalate, get a little bit more serious. Find ways of venting the anger, perhaps look at some exercise, do things like cutting out caffeine, anything that pushes the adrenals. But there are many stress programs out there that would work very successfully with that without any problem at all.
Okay.
It's simply stress, overwhelmment, too much to do, can't cope, and other emotions run wild with us.
Let's go to June now, who's in Newton Longville. June, good afternoon.
Oh, hi. I've just been listening to your programme. That's very interesting, actually.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, you're through to Mark. He's our expert. What's your question, June?
Hi, June.
Hi. I was going to say recently then. Actually, it's the anniversary of my mum's death today.
Right.
And I've been struggling with it on and off at odd times. I mean, now today I seem to be okay, although it's the anniversary of it, but the run-up to it has been awful. I've been snappy with my partner. I can't sleep. I just can't, sometimes, I mean, it sounds pathetic, doesn't it? There are other people going through this, but I just want to know how to deal with it, really, and when am I going to get over this? I mean, will I ever?
I think what you're talking about there, June, is something going back to one of our previous calls, Pam, talking about closure.
Yeah.
Because, as you say, it's very, very difficult for you to move on. And Mark, and I'm sure this situation is not just June, it affects millions of people, this.
Yeah, I see lots of clients that have lost loved ones, and it comes to that time of year, and they have short periods of obviously memory and different emotions. There is some things that you can do for this, and the emotions that we need to be trying to get to are acceptance, release, and eventually moving on from it. You can't move on from anything unless you accept it's happened in the first place, and this is where a lot of people go wrong. So there's some wonderful techniques, and I'm going to recommend something that you buy and read that will, because you will most definitely progress from this. You will most definitely get over this. If you take it on board, and we're looking for acceptance and release, getting rid of those feelings, celebrating your mother's life, and then accepting and releasing them and moving on.
Okay.
And there's a technique called the emotional freedom technique. Another name for it is thought field therapy, or you could find it under just EFT, emotional freedom technique. The whole technique is geared towards acceptance and release. There are EFT people all over the place that specialise in this, get great results with people just like you. If you didn't want to commit to doing something like that, there's a great book called Adventures in EFT. Adventures in EFT.
Yeah, I'm writing this down, actually.
By somebody called Sylvia Hartman.
Sylvia Hartman.
Yeah, it's a great book. It will teach you all about what it does, how it can help you. It teaches you the techniques for yourself, and it will really, really pay some dividends, I'm sure.
Mark Shields, our life coach this afternoon. Thank you very much indeed for coming in, and we'll catch
My
up
pleasure.
very soon.
Yeah, see you in January.
There you
Thanks,
go.
guys.